So how do you do in the previous question? If your answer was increase, then you really need to pay attention during this module because that answer is incorrect. Let's learn about supply and demand to explain why. Economists use the theory of supply and demand to explain the functioning of free markets. They do this by focusing on the main signal buyers and sellers use to communicate with each other, the price. For instance, consider what happens to the price of good X whenever the quantity supply of X is less than the quantity demanded for X, namely when there is a shortage of X. One way to think about this situation is a long line of buyers waiting patiently to purchase the scarce good. Clearly, no seller would like to run out of the good while there are still some people in line waiting to buy it at the current price. To do so will be like leaving money on the table. Therefore, to avoid this, sellers will like to increase the price in order to sort out those people with low value from those buyers with high value. In the end, this process allows sellers to sell all of their goods at the highest possible price. Now imagine the opposite situation. More sellers are willing to sell X than buyers are willing to buy it, namely a supply surplus. Clearly, sellers will not want to continue to inventory the good. That is expensive. So, in order to get rid of the inventory, they have an incentive to lower the price until some buyers agree to purchase it at the lower price. The conclusion here is straightforward. Whenever there's a supply shortage, there's a pressure for the market price to increase and vice versa. In practice, however, the market may never reach a situation when the number of buyers willing to buy the good, X, is exactly the same as the number of sellers willing to sell it, namely what economists call a market equilibrium. But rather than using the theory to find out what is the actual equilibrium price, we will use it to predict the way prices adjust towards the equilibrium. And we will do this by using the method of comparative statistics. This method consists of 3 steps. Step 1, describe an initial step in the market. This is usually an equilibrium state. Step 2, introduce a change in the market and evaluate how the change will change the initial state. This usually means describing whether the change creates a supply shortage or a supply surplus. And then finally, step 3, to compare the new situation by describing the way the economy adjusts back to equilibrium from either the supply shortage or the supply surplus you identified in step 2. Now give the initial question another try, but this time using the method of comparative statistics that we just presented and the intuition we explained about supply and demand, and see if you can get to a different answer.